Okay, welcome pirates. Welcome. It's TFC Live, Season 2, Episode 17. It's the one with the tinfoil hats on. And we've got a few tonight. Evening, admins. How are we?
Pretty good yourself?
Yeah, fine.
Science!
Hey, Ryan.
Hey.
Hi, Roo. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Hi, guys in chat. Welcome to you all. So we've got a few slides tonight, which I'll be controlling as best I can, okay, whilst I'm obviously trying to present at the same time. There is a Roo's Corner, which is good, and we've got a math section as well, which is going to blow your mind, I'm sure. We've kept it to the end because after that, you won't even be able to talk. It'll all be gibberish. But it's definitely blown Kickstar's mind. Blame Brian. Okay, let's get things up and running, and we'll make a start.
I have a curiosity question, though. Have we all decided finally to actually call Robin Roo from now on? Because
yeah, I do
like that nickname. All right, yeah. I do all the time. So
she's rude to me now. That's it. As in ROO Roo.
Actually, Andrew's making an update. I might actually change my base name, being as I have never had one.
Get your name. Get your base name to Roo.
But not R-U-E-Roo. Because that is either a delicious flour and butter based sauce or, oh, she dead, spoilers from the Hunger Games. You saw it already. Who cares?
Yes, very much so. Right, let's get back to the slides. And so as you can see, then there's the title slide. Okay, then what's in tonight's show? Okay, and so here we go. It's obviously there's the slide pack contents. We've got a new TLC. We've got a revised TLC. We've got a rerun TLC. Okay, rerun for some, fresh for others. Okay, we've got a base parts target refresh. Okay, the bug fixes and tune. Well, bug fix and tune, that should say, because there's only one. Okay, we got Roo's Corner, and I didn't get a chance to put it on there because he literally gave it to me 2 seconds before. And we got the science section as well. Okay, so we've got Brian's math. Okay, and that's it, to be honest. So right, let's go straight forward then on the first one, which is this one. So this is the Alpha Defense TLC, and as it says there, it's similar to the above the law campaign that we had, which features copies of player bases from the community. So basically, you get the initial screen that comes up as you start the various run. It'll tell you a little title of whose base it is. That's what it normally does anyway, to be honest. So they're utilizing 9 base bases, obviously, as you can see there, and there are 3 runs basically of 3 different targets. Obviously, getting the 9. As you can see, first run through gives you the Alpha. Second run through, then obviously the UAV overdrive. Debatable. And the third run through then obviously gives you some nice VXP tokens for your Alpha. So, but it's definitely not enough to get it up to obviously Scold. The run through 3 then obviously gives you the UAV, which is also a debatable UAV, to be honest, but gives you more VXP tokens.
Now,
what's the debate about that UAV?
UAV is not debatable. UAV is no.
Broken.
I have proven it with science.
It's a spotter, all right? It's a spotter. That's what it is. Don't think it's going to do anything because it just goes meh, and that's it. That's about as good as it is. Yeah, it's fondant
it looks
icing.
Pretty.
It's not as strong as that and about as effective, but there we go. And I hate fondant icing. Anyway, but you also get some shipbuild tokens, which is nice to have as well. So there you go. Notice then the cap for this one then, players must be above level 50 to participate. So it's nothing new, and it's all been out before and that sort of stuff. It's just been slammed together into a TLC as opposed to a different sort of above the law campaign. So, yeah. Now, a lot of people, I've seen 2 or 3 people stack 2 or 3 of these holes in their base, and they find that obviously with the auras and the overlaps and that sort of stuff, then it seems to sort of work. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the Alpha Bim Off, guys? What do you reckon?
I've seen some bases where it works. I've seen some bases where it does not. I mean, there are some bases where it takes a beating, but a lot of times what I've seen is when that happens, when they stack it that way, people just pinch them and drive by them, or just drive by them for the rest of the base, and then die trying to damage them. I don't know. It's if they would only fix that cesium scarab,
Yeah, that's the weakest part. Story. It's a nice hole. It's quite a strong hole. You can get it, particularly with some pen plates. It'll do what it'll do. But the UAV is basically a spotter. So I would put as many counters on or other things as well. But it does what it does. I wouldn't put too many on. Yeah.
The UAV is a spotter if you.
Yeah.
It's a spotter if you don't want to waste an extra special slot. If you want to use all your specials. I really think I really encourage players to get at least the prize pack 1, because if you can get prize pack 1 but not prize pack 2, the Alpha Behemoth is probably the best defender hull you're going to have. I know there's a Valiant that was just out in the raid, and that's fine, but I imagine you don't have the flagship if you can't do all 3 of these. The VXP tokens are nice. The only reason to do run 3 is the tokens. The UAV is junk. But even run 1 is a very rewarding thing, so at least try to do that. Other ones can be skipped.
Yeah, I think most people should be able to do run 1, because normally it's that they're sort of like mid-level bases, aren't they? That sort of stuff. So not having looked at it yet myself, I don't know, but in fact I probably won't, because I've got all this stuff already. So I don't need to build any more VXP tokens, or because mine's already ranked up. So I probably shan't touch it, but I'll get some of my lowers to run through it and have a little at it myself. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, so there you go. Alpha Defense, it's out there. Take part if you want to. Yeah, and you may want to stop at level 1, or if it's really, really easy, then crack on, and why not just go through it? You can stack up those tokens and have more tokens in your token bank. Cool. Excellent then. Right. So Hyperion Rising TLC, there's 2 slides on this one here. So basically some adjustments. This is the mega hull one. Okay. Now it used to have various different runs. I think 6 in total it was. It used to seem to go on forever, but now they've reduced it down. So as it says there, this was obviously the Clash of the Titans, that sort of stuff. So they called it Hyperion Rising, and it's now 3 runs. So it's 1 encounter, then 2 encounters, and then another 2 encounters. So 5 in total, in fact. 3 hour time limit for the first one, and then each one after that is an hour long. And they've amalgamated the prize pools as well, which we'll go through on the second slide. It's interesting then. So the good piece about this, and previously when the Megaship module was, you could not refit, build it even, or upgrade it during the bridge repair. Now that can be done. All right, and so that's actually quite a huge change on Megaships, because that is always one frustration thing as far as I'm concerned, because you can't do jack shit when something else is happening with the bridge.
Yep, that actually was done because of our intervention, I guess, or our discussions with Kixeye. One of the things that a lot of people were complaining about was that, hey, they get nailed and they got that 24-hour bubble, but
you can do nothing.
Do anything.
Yeah, you just sit there.
You actually have to. Yeah, you'd have to time it to get on just as your bubble popped, so you could start something, which was kind of pointless. And I think after the change where the bridge took, before it was 4 hours, now it's 24 hours. I think this is actually going to help a lot of people get work on their mega hull done. I think it's something that was absolutely needed, and I am glad that they put it in there. Good. Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah, I think that for the Hyperion players will probably be one of the best things that's been done. There are a few other, but I mean, if Imri's looking around or gets to watch this later on, he always has a list of things that he likes to get done on that.
Yeah.
But this, I think, is going to be a big change. This is like having your dock auto fix after you've been offline and you get hit. It's the same sort of thing, I think, to be honest. This is
that
just
much of an impact. Yeah, I agree.
Because they'll just log back in and go, oh, my bridge is damaged. Oh, it doesn't matter. I can still carry on do X, Y, and Z. It makes you worthwhile going out and then hitting Sector Orange and getting your 91 sorted out, because you can actually do something. So,
yep.
Yeah, like this one. It's good. So that's something that's happened about the mega hulls, which is good news, which is important, because obviously when people were getting some way through this as well, it was becoming problematic that they couldn't carry on as well and do other bits and bobs. So, yeah, like I said, so this one here, then Hyperion Rising, it's got 3 runs. And there are the 3 prize packs basically. So obviously you'll be able to see these yourself. Obviously, whenever you look at the TLC, the drop-down menu. So the kinetic engine module is in prize pack 1, and basically the pyro engine module is in prize pack 2, with obviously the rocket module as well. The cannon module you get anyway, but there are some extra tokens for that in prize pack 1. But don't worry about it. But you get obviously the pyro engine, which is the explosive one, and the rocket module to go with it. If you go to prize pack 2, and obviously prize pack 3, then obviously, which is great, you get the Exocet missile as well, and the drone modules there as well, all in one little hit. I quite like that. It's a good idea.
Yeah, the only thing that I kind of am leery on is I ran through them today.
Oh, did you? Right. Okay.
And honestly, I really wish that the rocket module was in prize pack 1, because it's kind of needed.
It's hard. Yeah, it is.
Prize pack. You kind of need it for prize pack 2, and then the drone module should probably be in prize pack 2, because you kind of
make life a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think those are the only 2 things. Everything else is perfect. I just think that the rocket should be in 1 and the drone should be in 2, just because, I mean, they're making it so much easier for everyone to actually get into it. You don't want them to hit a brick wall on this one thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
the only thing I mentioned about the tokens, if people aren't, I know obviously because obviously lots of people have been gifted because the way the foundries change, that sort of stuff. You're just starting to build obviously mega ships, some of your gantries, wherever you are, and everything. Once you get into this, you'll notice the tokens for the Hyperion, the mega ship tokens work slightly differently. So those tokens you're getting given there, like for the upgrade tokens, take note of the ones that say build tokens. You can't, although they look the same, they aren't the same. So if you're going to build a new module, you can use them. If you're upgrading it, you can't. And sometimes you only have the build tokens there. And you go, oh, why can't I get this thing to work? And I've had to explain that to a few people, that those tokens, they don't work. So once you pass level 1, it's been built, you can't use them again. And clearly, once you've filled up all 10 of your modules, you don't need any more of those tokens because you're not building new modules. But you just can't utilize those tokens. They'll just sit in your token bank then from that point forward. Unless obviously you want to build additional modules, which you can do, but obviously you just need to plan ahead in doing so. Does that sound fair? Yeah, logical, good. Right, okay, so that's the Hyperion Rising campaign. Okay, Homelands is back, which is good news as far as I'm concerned, because I think the prizes in Homelands were fantastic. Interesting. So the radio's saying they build or refit tokens. They will not work for upgrading a module. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's build or refit. Yeah, that's the issue right now. That's confirmation. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so we'll move on then. So Legion faction, the Homelands TLC. So this is our second chance then to take part in the Homelands. Okay. It started April 25th. Okay, defeating the Legionnaires and gives you the chance to get the Liberator, which is obviously been a pretty good hull, and it's actually wrecked a lot of people's bases, and a lot of people haven't had the chance to do anything about defending against this darn hull yet, especially once it's loaded up with some scurrier missiles. So here we go then. We've got another set of encounters then. So run-throughs, encounters, it's 3 run-throughs, progressing from 5 to 7. 5 to 7 encounters. The final run-through will be a mastery round, which can be repeated up to 5 times. Interesting, okay. The important points there, obviously, some of them are garrison targets, and some of them obviously are obviously encounters that you can use Conqueror hulls in. So bear that in mind. Good thing is then Tier 6 Conquerors obviously maybe participate in encounters 5 and 7, and the capacity for the Liberator has not been increased. So bear in mind, if you've got it already, then you've just got it, and that's the way it is. I noticed that OP level 9 is required. So that's pretty standard. I don't think a great deal's changed, to be honest, on this one here.
Please read on the information pop-up module before you're about to start a round. Please read what you can and can't take in.
Because it'll say you can't engage this target, and they're going, oh, it's busted, it's broken. Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes it'll tell you if you can't use your fleet, go home, get a non-conqueror fleet, come back, you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to explain that a few times last time. So yeah, so just pick the right ones. So prizes, here we go then. So run through 1 obviously gets you, as it says there, then obviously this turret enhancer. Okay, and so this is for obviously like obviously the Hyena missile, but it obviously works with dead eyes and that sort of stuff, and general executioners, those type of things. So it's quite an interesting special. I had it on nearly all of my turrets, and actually I've taken it off of some and gone for different options. So it isn't the default special in all cases, especially if you want to use obviously a retargeting special as well, then, which I have on a couple of my my turrets at the moment. But it's quite decent, you know. It adds quite a bit of weight to your turret, so just bear that in mind. 13, I suppose 13 is not, power consumption wise, it's not huge. Not now, we're obviously up in OP9, but you know, it's something to consider if you start putting obviously the range extenders on and that sort of stuff. Good thing is you get some structure build tokens. It's just aids you to doing 1. That's what it does, really, to be honest.
Well, that, you know, foreshadowing, but maybe later, you know, might be not as helpful as you'd think. Still nice though.
Yeah, it's another option, isn't it? It's another thing in the toolbox, but it isn't. I wouldn't say it's the default go-to, and you must fit it. That's, you know, because I thought that initially, and actually I've managed to now build some turrets that actually can be constructed better without, to be honest, and go a slightly different route.
Really?
So anyway, but not too bad. it's quite nice that you get accuracy boost, and obviously that's quite important with people that still stack on lots of evade and that sort of stuff, you know. And reload boost is always a good thing to have as well. Right, and this is the one that everybody loves, the Hyena. Okay, and it's a beast, isn't it? And for those people that are obviously running out of BB crews, this one's going to be your. This is going to break you if you're a base hitter.
You're undoing.
You had to bring up the BB crew, didn't you?
Well, I'm afraid so, because obviously this one here, it came in and everyone went, "Oh, I'm going to stack up on BB crews because I can't stop this freaking missile." Well, now all of a sudden it seems quite difficult to get over BB crew. So this thing is going to absolutely annihilate plenty of people and demoralize all those that like going around and getting tons and tons of base medals and that sort of stuff, you know. Because as we start running out of our BB crews, then you'll probably want to really hate people that have got this or too many of these in their base. So yeah, we've got pen plates on and that sort of stuff, and things are going quite decent. But this thing can pack a punch once you tank it up. It's a good turret missile, and obviously with ATR on it as well, you don't lose that much for the range extender. If you put it in the right place, you can fire them continuously all the way around until they get to your center island from the start to the end. So it's quite decent. I like it. I think it's probably one of the best turrets we've had for a long time. And you know, and so they sneak in there as well, the secondary thing. So if you can't get any further forward, this is where you might want to stop. You know, that sort of stuff. You know, if you're really struggling, but I would push hard to go and get this. It will transform your base. It will transform your base, definitely. It definitely needs obviously top level turrets to be able to fit it, because it is a bit of a beast.
Yeah, and we had a whole bunch of good videos posted up the last time Homeland was up. So if you guys just go to the TFC, Facebook page and search for Homeland, I'm sure they'll come up so you guys can see what you got to do.
There's a stack there. I literally just gone to YouTube, type in Homeland, and then it will come up, because I had a quick check earlier on, and it's
on the website as well. Andrew's got them all grouped to the actual campaign. Oh, perfect. As well.
See?
Yeah. Well, this hasn't changed. So I had a quick check. So these are literally a copy and paste. Apart from I changed the first slide, the rest of this is a copy and paste from the previous one we did on episode 8, I think it was.
Last month?
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember what it was.
Whenever it was.
Episode 8, episode 11.
Sometime then.
It was a while ago. Anyway, so I haven't changed them apart from adding a couple of different words at the start. So yeah, they sneak in there. Obviously, there's some Liberator VXP token at 25k. Oh, and there's one of those in there as well. That's just to encourage you to go on again to the next one, which is obviously then this one here. So this is the final run. This obviously gives you the T6 Conqueror Liberator. Okay, and if you're not fighting against those things, this thing's amazing.
If you're not fighting against those things, get one. You will be.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
I understand.
Yeah. So this is the yin and yang as far as I'm concerned of BP. So when you're fighting this thing, you definitely want to be fighting against it with this thing, and then load it up with something like pen plates and that sort of stuff, and see how long you can last. But 5 of these all ranked up, and then with a bit of their bloodthirst, they're amazing. I have to say
they're dangerous.
Yeah, if someone's really built their base badly and stacked up lots of stuff on the outside still, and this thing gets bloodthirst, try and stop it. That's all I can say. This thing is crazy.
So, while the hull itself, that capacity did not increase. Let me stall for like 3 more seconds. Load my base. You let me see my token inventory. I think you can have a lot of these tokens.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, it's 99, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the count is 99.
Yeah. So. And a lot of these builds, especially if you're not adding armor, are less than 12 days. So if you did all 5 runs the first time and you do all 5 runs this time, congratulations, you have a free 5 Liberator Death Punch.
Yeah, very much.
Good job.
So. Yep. Because a lot of people get through, they stop and pause and have to do something else. George, well, you just timed out 9s. That's amused me. I'm not quite sure what for, but it is funny. Oh dear.
We don't even know what we're doing anymore. We just do it.
Is it too late to mention the mega splash screen? Like, should we go back to that, or should we just mention it later?
Yeah, we'll grab it at the end, because there's not much base fix, so bug fix and tuning, because that's an update, isn't it? Really, the splash screen has changed, hasn't it? So we can get to the end.
It's for the
wording
campaign,
changed.
That's why. That was Well,
right.
Yeah, the campaign. Yeah, there was that little add-on at the end.
What does it say at the end of the campaign, then, mate? Go on. I haven't seen that.
I gotta find the picture. It was Rue sent me the picture. I gotta go find it now. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
It says, so at the very end of it, it says, use your megaship to win module blueprints and tokens that will upgrade your modules. World War is coming. Be ready. So I don't know if that alludes to a possible new TLC coming forward, or if we're going to have something else to attack, or I don't know what that is. But I find it very interesting.
Remember the Warzone raids?
A megaship arena.
The Warzone raids where they had us in the middle of the Drax and the Reavers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine all four sides: Scourge, Drac, Legion, Reaver. 4 sides. We're in the middle.
And our poor Megal's in the middle.
Getting thrashed.
I mean, I don't know, because they, before when we talked to them about it last year, they had said that the Reaver one was coming, and then they were talking about being able to send a fleet in or having a fleet repair thing in the gantry. I mean, there was a lot of things that were discussed, and we really haven't seen anything lately. And I just found that really interesting. At the tagged at the very end of that splash screen, just kind of snuck in, and I was like, something's coming. That might be good. I hope it's fun. I like fun things. I want to see some fun
without too much cost.
Without too much cost. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. So So there we go. And there's the stats. The stats will remain the same. To be honest, there's no changes in that sort of stuff. So it's it's a good hole, and it's probably one of the best in that. I have to say, I don't know why. I tend not to use mine too much. I'm not sure why I don't. Can't think of why I don't, to be honest. But I tend to use my prides more than anything else. But maybe now because
most people are
because of your pride
for liberators. So it's kind of a balance thing. When you go too far to protect against the liberator, you kind of open yourself up to the pride. So
yeah, very much. And I was taking advantage of that because everybody obviously when the liberator came out, they switched their bases to stop liberators, and actually then prides could pretty easily walk through most of them. So. But people have redefined and gone back 50-50, I think. And there's been some obviously different defense mechanisms now as well. So it is getting a bit tougher. And we won't mention BB crew, will we? No, right. Moving on. So there's a couple of CM notes that I picked up from the previous time. They weren't on this time of release, but obviously they're still, I think, quite important. So there's I take it there still is a badge for this because there was last time. It doesn't say whether there is or isn't, but obviously bear in mind you can do the mastery round 5 times. I can imagine the badge is going to be released because if you did it last time, how would you get the badge? So that's an assumption, but I guess there should be no change. But basically, there were some notes that were put up on the forums from the last time this was run, which basically said, you can use the prides obviously in those later rounds, that sort of stuff, and there are some alternatives like spites and that sort of stuff that still do quite reasonably well. And as it said, obviously citadels were highly encouraged to use in the garrison targets. Now we obviously got many choices, so just think about obviously those garrison holes that you've got now and you've been building and utilizing as well. So it's not just a case of the citadels as well, although citadels are still packing a good punch at the moment, which will come to that later,
especially if you got them to R5.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Foreshadowing.
So but it's interesting. So basically, the Liberator, though, it says is definitely going to be the ideal go-to hull for the mastery rounds of the upcoming Drac TLC. But other Conquerors may still be viable options as well. So that's just the footnotes that were in there from the previous run of this TLC.
But that's proven to be the case. That's sort of proven to be the case, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just it's
prides
like a bridge, isn't it? It's a stepping stone to the next thing, really.
Yeah, people used prides in the oppressor one, but they also liberators were used to great effect.
Yeah,
yeah, it seemed to work out, didn't it?
Yeah, it's not the only way, but it is one of the best ways.
It works.
Yeah,
it's
works. He's good.
Good. Okay, so there's some interesting stuff coming up at the moment. And there's definitely some sneak hints of other things that are coming up, which is good news. Right, so we moved on to base parts target refresh. So as we know, then they're a little overdue, actually, this refresh, I think, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought this would have happened already. Because we're going to be starting.
I thought it would have happened already too.
Yeah, because they're going to be starting looking at obviously the FM target refresh in
3 months' time.
Yeah, what we did in July. So
until I saw this target, I would have agreed. But now that I've seen this target as the not a raid target inclusion,
yeah,
I'm not particularly thrilled with this. But
we got We got 1-2 shots at this. How many times?
I don't
We
know.
killed it twice.
It's
Yeah, it has been adjusted though. It's not the exact same target that was in the TLC. From what
I've seen a couple of people run through, and they've said that actually,
Yeah.
Jamal, it's a decent amount of points for the amount of damage you're taking, so they're generally content.
Please define adjusted.
I don't know, mate. I've not hit one myself yet.
From what I was hearing, it was longer time between the stuff popping up. It wasn't popping up as quickly as the other version was, and someone else was telling me that the damage was not as bad. Now I can't speak personally. That's just what I've been hearing.
okay, and see that's where I have an issue, because the cannoneer, aka the skill hull, which if driven properly should, net you a 0 damage run, is not possible to do that in this target.
It's pretty close.
That's what we had a problem with it. It might be close, but it does not fulfill what we were told with regard to that. And I can understand a little bit of damage, fine, but man, come out and just like tell us, not spring it like this.
Well, someone was just saying in chat that they're not actually firing right away like they were in the other version as well. So maybe that's part of it as well. Instead of immediately getting pounded on, there's that delay where you have the opportunity to kill them.
The thing is for me, the thing that I was going to say for me is basically because this target springed up in the very last set, on the last part of the raid, in the last run of the raid,
TLC.
The thing is, sorry, the TLC. Yeah, this thing is though, you never had a chance to get in there, unlike a raid, and break the target down and think, right, I got to do that turret first, and then I've got to do this one because that one fires quicker than this one, sort of stuff. You didn't have that chance to do that.
Right. I mean, maybe we'll play with it and find it out, but as of right now, I'm kind of just gonna avoid them for a little bit. Laredo also did make a good point. Raid starts on the 11th. Once the raid starts, you're not going to see Drac Mines again
At all, yeah.
That's it. They'll be gone.
Yeah, and that was the same last time on the last change of targets as well. Once you got to the raid, that was it. Although it sounded like you got loads of time to do it, you didn't, because obviously you got the raid time. Take off the raid time, and obviously the refresh of targets, which is obviously normally on the Wednesday. That's it, done. So
I think this is the only one that's not one that was in the raid, though, correct? I think someone was saying that other than this 103 or whatever it is, the rest of them were all prior raid targets.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them, I must admit. I know a couple of people have done them. I just grabbed this picture because somebody posted it up for us. And I just know this one's worth 300k, which is reasonable. As it says, it's there. Obviously, they've upped the base parts payout a little bit to help with the transition. But obviously, if you're saying you are taking damage, or are you taking more damage than what you would do if you were taking, your irons into a 97? I don't know, because it's too early to tell, to be honest, just yet.
I had a couple, and they were raid targets, but this was the only one that I had seen at the higher level, and this definitely isn't one of the raid ones.
Okay.
Irons and 97s are broken. I don't think that's a fair metric. I heard that the 81 is a 74, like the Blitz target, and I heard that the 99 is a 75, the one with platforms.
Okay.
But I haven't verified them yet.
Is that the 75 from the first raid or the last raid? Because there's
another difference.
Yeah.
Damn it, George! I was not sad for a while.
It's early doors, isn't it? At the moment, it's too. I have to say, sorry, Stu's in. Hi, mate.
Hello, Matt.
Sorry, buddy. I said we're just basically ignoring you there. I just noticed your picture popped up. Sorry.
That's fine. I was ignoring all you lot as well, so
that's all right.
Fine.
Stu does know that he can just talk right the heck over us whenever he wants, and does so, if necessary. So I guess he just didn't want to speak before now.
No, I was good. I was good, mate. I was looking at funny cats on YouTube.
Oh, okay. So the good thing here is, as far as I'm concerned, is that the Outpost 9 buildings can now be upgraded using base parts. I think that's a yay. That's a yay moment. So obviously, I don't know about Outpost 9 itself. I doubt it, but but the Outpost 9 buildings per se doesn't break them down into anything particular. So that means it must be everything. So just think about your stack times and that sort of stuff, because obviously some of them take an awful lot of time to build. But just quickly before the show, Brian and I were just having a quick mental math moment about, is it better for him to now stop and cancel his turret build and actually go back and use base parts and that sort of stuff. So but we know it's a base part.
You'd think I would waste 8 days. You
Yeah.
think I wasted 8 days, and you'd be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the frustration, isn't it? But it's that fence moment. You're on this side of the fence, the other side, you just can't sit in the middle. So, yeah.
Oh, and I have daily chests
And you have some.
that I have hoarded up.
Oh, excellent.
Those have base parts.
That they do. That's good. There we go. So yeah, we'll see. We'll probably talk about those at the weekend and see how people have been getting on, that sort of stuff. And I think that'll probably be a good discussion point for Saturday night's open mic.
Can I get in a quick word?
Yeah, of course.
If you're complaining about base defense, shut up. Now you can do everything. You can get the turrets up to 8 with 5 times the armor, and they can hold these super powerful weapons. You can put the super powerful weapons on. Yes, it is going to take time for you to go out and get the base parts, but you can do it now. It's so much quicker than it was before. It's going to be okay, but for God's sake, stop complaining. You can do it now with your ironclads, your cannoneers, and if you don't have them, well, not Kicksai's fault.
Tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk tastes good.
That.
and some of that.
That is the new motto for TFC. I made it myself. I did not make it myself. I stole it from someone when I was about 7 years old. But anyway, moving on. So yeah,
Moving on.
Yours would have a word that we can't say on TFC.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Very true.
Okie
Outpost
dokie.
9 buildings can now be upgraded using base parts. Woo, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Just catching up.
Even though I've just finished mine, but anyway, I've got
Same.
nothing left to upgrade. But yeah, it's good. It's good news. It's great. I like it.
No, it's good for all the people that were struggling to catch up, like Brian was saying.
Yeah, no, it is excellent, and I totally agree
It's
with it.
everyone kind of on an even playing field. If you want them, put the effort in, go get them.
Yeah, like it. So those that have got your irons, get out there and start smashing those 97s like they're going out of fashion, up and down all the sectors, and then just keep that one, next one, and get them done.
Or don't, because I'm doing them.
Depends where you are. Anyway,
Leave them.
not good. Signature Institute, take it away.
Oh, I see. Just diving right in, am I? Okay.
Yep.
Fix the bug where the cold snap visual effect was remaining present on ships after the actual effect had actually worn off.
Ooh.
No big words there from Kicksai, I see. Kudos.
That's good for you, mate. That was written especially for you, that one.
That one was, yeah, I like it. Wait, where's the rest of them?
No others.
That's it.
You're taking the piss.
No, that's it.
I come on the show to read that. But,
Do you know what? You just
wow, okay.
Earn that paycheck, Stu. Earn that paycheck.
I've earned it this week, don't worry.
Oh dear, oh dear. So that's it in the bug fixing and tuning. So TLCs are more important than fixing bugs. No, not at all. Apparently,
3 TLCs, 1 bug fix.
it's good.
We'll have to like send a note to Doom to make sure he uses some 5-cent words just for Stu.
Okay, so basically
Expand
I've
his
cracked
vocabulary.
I have cracked the theory.
Go on.
Okay. For every 3 TLCs, there's 1 bug fix, which means that next week, can we have 50 TLCs that are optional and then a lot of bug fixes?
All right, just make it so you can talk more.
Yeah, that, and then we get all the bugs fixes.
Sorted out, yeah. Rather than just make them up, you mean?
Yes.
Cool.
But no,
excellent.
Do we get to pick which 13, or are they all just going to be visual effects? It's important.
That's true. That is true. Brian's ruined it with his math brain. We've screwed it now, guys.
Yes,
Abort
I have logic
mission.
to destroy
Abort
everything that you love.
If you think he's ruined it now, mate, you just wait
Yeah,
for the
just
next 10
wait.
minutes.
Oh wait,
Just wait.
wait for like 5 minutes, man. It's gonna be great.
Right. Okay. Let's move forward. So here we go. It's Rue's Corner.
Hey, I have spent the last week looking at all of the ships have been released to kind of try and answer the question that everybody talks about with respects to build and repair times. So big thank you to Mark L for his blueprints page, of course our very own Andrew and Wayne Gilliver for his shipbuilder page. And so what I did was I took all of the hulls that have been released since 2014, and then we took a look at what the build times were and what the repair times were. So just some quick caveats. The times that are referenced in the slides are bare hull times, not with any specials or weapons. All of the times include max R&D level 30. I wasn't going to sit there and try and back all of that stuff out, but I do not have any officers applied. If a hull has original next to it, this means that it's a hull that was reduced since inception. For example, like the Crusader originally was X many days and then it was reduced. If I knew what the original build time was, that's been included. If we could not find what the original build time was, then it's just in there with its current stat. And then repair coefficient talks about the cost of repair based on a ship's armor points. So for example, if it takes you 2 hours to repair a ship that only has 1,000 armor points, that's not a very good repair time. Whereas if it takes you 2 hours to repair a ship that has 50,000 armor points, then that is a much better repair time. And so what I did for the first one, if you could move to the next one. There we go. What I did for the first one is there are a lot of slides that are in addition to this that I will be putting into an article, but I thought it would be good to kind of go over the high level ones just based on what we've seen. And so total ships that we have for 2014, we had 27 hulls, 2015, 29, 31 for 16, and so far 2017, we have 17 hulls. So a total of 104 hulls, and then we just broke them out via the hull classes that were out there. If we could move on to the next one. And so this is where it kind of got interesting. I took a look at top build times, and I actually broke them down based on flagship and non-flagship. And the reason that I broke them down this way is because we only build one flagship hull, whereas we build multiples generally of the non-flagship hulls. And if I included them all in together, then it would be skewed because obviously flagships take longer than regular ships to do. So the top 10 flagships by build time that are in there, we see that we have a couple from 2017 that are in there. We've got the Harlox Cannoneer, the Icebreaker, as well as the Monolith. But the rest of them are all from 2016 with the exception of the Grimshine's Berserker. Now, so we've seen a bit of an increase on flagships for last year and this year. If we can move on to the next one. And so what I did was I took each set, flagship and non-flagship, and then I figured out what the average was for both build and repair. And so we'll see that for the flagships, we have seen an increase in the average build time for the flagship. But then again, the flagships are lasting a lot longer. Although it's not good that it's an increase, it's not a case of where we have a flagship that works for one thing and then it no longer works anywhere else. You know, an example of that is the Harlox Citadel. That was released in July of last year, and here we are almost a year later still using it. So there was an increase in build time for flagships. On the repair, you'll see that for 2000 through 2016, it kind of stayed the same. 2017, we saw a bit of a jump. Now, that jump can be attributed to the Harlox Tideseeker, which was an incredible repair time of 6 hours for its armor points. But then we also have situations where we have some of the base hulls, the base defender hulls that have a very high repair. I think it was the Valiant that was the same way, but they're offset by lower repair times on the Conqueror hulls. There is a slide that I have for each class of hull that's out there, and it has the repair coefficients for each of those, and so that'll be shared in the article. But we can see that the actual repair time for flagships has increased.
Just out of curiosity, do you know offhand on the PvE stuff how for the repair?
What I've done is I've broken down for each hull class. I have the build time, the repair time, and then the repair coefficient for each hull in each of those classes. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm just asking if you know off the top of your head, if you remember the stuff. Like, has it gone up? Because it seems like everything's going up.
I'd have to go in there and strip out the...
Okay.
Actually, no, it hasn't. Siege has stayed... I've got it open here. Hang on one second. Let me just pile through this. Skirmish and Assault went up with respects to some of the repair times based on the coefficient. Garrison had a couple of spikes with the Citadel. Believe it or not, it was the Harlox Citadel, and the Citadel spiked the Garrison. The rest, other than the Monolith, are actually a lower repair coefficient than the other ones. Siege stayed pretty much across the board. There was one spike, but that was from the Hellblazer from yonks ago. Assault actually dropped with the Apollos, but other than the Apollos, it's been right at the 0.8 across the board since they've been released. Conqueror is kind of out of it because there were high repairs on original hulls that were released, and then of course we dropped all down to the 30 minutes, so that graph is all over the place. Defender has dropped down significantly, of course, based on the hulls that we've got, where they've got 100,000 armor points as opposed to a standard ship of like 20. Skirmish is skewed by the Harlock's Tideseeker. If you back the Harlock's Tideseeker out, it's actually dropped significantly on the repair coefficient since the beginning of 2016. And I think Assault was... Go ahead.
So the repair coefficients have come down, but the average repair hours have gone up. Is that accurate?
The repair coefficient has gone down within the hull class generally. What you're looking at on this screen is the flagships only.
Overall time. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just flags.
So
just flags.
if we jump into the next slide.
Yeah. He says, what is the thing?
I jumped ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So, and this is the good news. Although some of the hulls have actually jumped with respects to the flagship, we actually see the opposite for non-flagships. So here's the top 10 non-flagship build times descending, and there's the 10. The first 2017 hull that shows up out of those 107 from 2014 is actually the Icebreaker, and it's in position 30. So we'll see there that the build times for non-flagships have actually improved. And if we jump off to the next slide, you'll see. And this is where we do see a reduction. And to answer your question, George, yes. The only thing that's not included in these hulls since 2014, and that was because I didn't want to break Mark's heart, is the Ghost Crawler, the Hellblazer, the Man of War, and the Proto Nemesis. So everything else is in there.
I know about it is already.
including subs and everything. Okay.
Yeah, so Gluttony's in there, in the Conqueror, that type of stuff. So taking a look at the non-flagships, now remember, generally we build 4 of these to every 1 flagship. For the non-flagships, we see that it's actually dropped for build times. We were running at 5.8 in 2015, and we've dropped down to 3.2 in 2016, and then 3.5 in 2017. And then over on the repair, we'll see that we've actually stayed pretty constant. But yet again, the repair coefficients have actually improved in some areas and pretty much stayed the same in other ones.
Cool.
So,
excellent. We'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, those are just high-level ones. Again, I have all of the graphs for each of the classes, and I will put them in an article because there's like 30 of them. There have been some increases in some areas, but in other areas, there are actually a lot of decreases in build and repair times and in repair coefficients. So hopefully I'll have that out in the next within the next week. But I just thought it was an interesting exercise, and it was interesting just trying to find the ships themselves. But B, when you started actually getting down into the data, it was like, wait a minute, it's not as bad as what we kind of think it is sometimes. So anyway, that was all.
I'm gonna like getting into this data a little bit because I'm really curious about that, the average repair hours, the overall repair,
yeah, I proofread a few
the PVE stuff.
When did I do it? The weekend? Was it the weekend? I was going to say Robin, but Rue. Okay, yeah. But
you could leave it as Robin. I'm just changing my digital footprint.
How dare you use my real name?
There are some really interesting slides on there, and there's some spikes that really surprised me.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that we had discussed several times was the comparison going from the Apollo, which didn't need any armor, to like the Hellwraith, which, to actually compare it, you did need armor on the Hellwraith, right? Mm. So the overall repair time was not even similar, and then as each raid set kept going, it seems that the overall repair time has gone up in terms of the fleet that, what's necessitated for the fleet to perform well in that raid. And that is something that I want to look at because, when it comes to VXP weekend, that's time that you got to spend or coin to rank, and that's kind of one of the things that I'd love. I'm dying to look into the data here and play with it. So
yeah,
that's, I mean,
very neat.
I tossed
neat.
around trying to put some builds, but builds are subjective. I can do it one way, and somebody else can do it another. And somebody just pointed out into chat as well with respects to the extra special slots. And yes, there are some specials that increase build times, but they don't affect repairs time. And there's so many variables that I could spend a year just trying to come up with the data for that. So it was just a basic review to answer the question, did we really increase build times? Did we really increase repair times? And but yeah, I'll happy to share the data, and like I said, I'll get the rest of the graphs that are out there. And we didn't put them in this because there were so many of them, but when you break it down and take a look at the actual classes and look at the repair coefficient, other than a spike like the Harlock Citadel and the Harlock's Tideseeker, it's actually in our favor in a lot of areas.
It's interesting for repair efficiency. I mean, you can make the repair efficiency as low as you want. It really has to do more with the damage that the targets are dealing. Like in the Hellwraith raid targets, if you weren't armored, you could make one mistake, and after that you were dead. Like you could only take 2 shots, so that might not have been practical to have your Hellwraiths unarmored. And in some of these newer targets, the damage that we take is sometimes it can be punitive. So you need to add on the armor, and that adds to your repair time. It's a difference of theory versus practical, and that's something I find interesting. And the second thing is, you had a slide a bit about top 10 not flagships descending by time, and you said the Icebreaker was 30th. I just fired it up. Oh, thank you. Wait, where is it? It's being flicked between non-flag. Okay. Oh, 5 days 22. Okay. Yeah. So the I just pulled up an Icebreaker. It's with an officer and with R&D not 30. It's 4 days 20 hours, something like that. So it's a little more than that. I feel like there's kind of a tight grouping, sort of build times in there, and I know some of them, like the Templar and the Mastodon, are 2 great examples. They haven't received love, and anything that hasn't been taken in under kicks by the Foundry is kind of not seen a reduction. So I feel like a lot of those obsolete holes, those obsolete holes can kind of take up higher slots, whereas it doesn't really matter. But the really important thing, I think, is we're measuring these against 4-month raid cycles back then versus 3-month raid cycles now. I think that's really the big thing. We're expecting more of a percentage decrease in build time. And yeah, build times have been going down. I think that's kind of been leveling off, and they can still be decreasing, and that's fine. But if they're not decreasing fast enough to keep up with the raid cycles, then there's really not that much of a point, I feel. It's nice, but it's not enough.
Well, I mean, this is good data to have as a basis to put into context for any other discussion. I think that's the catch. Is that
baseline?
Yeah, it's a baseline, because if you want to have a discussion about either the 3-month raid cycle or how long build times have actually crept up or repair times overall have crept up, you kind of have to go to the quote unquote go-to hull or build that was used for each raid set to do an actual kind of comparison. With this raid set, it's going to be difficult because so much stuff works, right? But with the other ones, I mean, it's kind of easy to go from the Apollo to the Hellwraith or the Tideseeker even, and then the Cannoneer and the Icebreaker. I mean, there were standardish builds enough where the builds were close enough where you could get a kind of a rough guesstimate and see where you're at. But this is a fantastic way to get a baseline to actually compare stuff and then put it into context of whatever you want to. It's a starting point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you want to go.
This is good, right? So it gives us a baseline, and it's good. It's just about the actual whole flat, nothing on it, no fancy bells and whistles, that sort of stuff. It gives us a flat line. Now, Brian hinted in one thing. So moving from a 4 raid cycle to a 3 raid cycle, yes, whilst we are getting tokens in other areas, and that's build tokens as well as VXP tokens. I mean, we are inundated with VXP tokens at the moment. It's unprecedented, I think, in the game. But there are other issues as well. There are things like as somebody mentioned in the chat there are things like, well, look at the to do the cycle that the Apollo was in, you didn't have to put any armor on at all. So actually you could build that set very, very fast. Well, look what's coming next, the next assault raid. I'd be surprised if that's permitted, or are we still going down this C1M and C1X type armor where you've got to put it on just so you've got that deflection capability, you know, and you've got that bit of sponge effect basically. Then that's going to increase your build times as well, you know, even though it doesn't actually maybe increase the repair time. Don't know. We'll see that. And then there's the other thing as well. Things like submarines. You can no longer take them out on the water when they're only part fixed. So that repair efficiency then has, in effect, amplified the situation on people going, well, I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to do this because I can't even take it out. Whereas in the old days, we used to be able to go, do you know what? I'll just put 5 minutes on that, 10 minutes on that, and that'll do. I can, if I drive carefully again, I'll be able to get through it and then fix it overnight. You know, so that has had a big impact in the game as well.
Well, and driving too, and Brian kind of hinted towards this in where he was talking about, you know, how much damage you take. We know that if you drove the Cannoneers very well, you could do both of the targets, the higher end targets, with very little damage. We know that if you drive your tank very well in the current raid set, you can also do very well with very little damage, you know. Whereas somebody that is not very good at driving or has a lot of lag ends up at the other end of the spectrum where they're having to fully repair ships from, you know, complete dead. Yeah.
I mean, bear in mind that you've got, interesting at the class top there, you've got Siege and you've got their Hellhound. But bear in mind, their Hellhounds at the same time as Bulkhead came out and that sort of stuff, you know. Like, imagine what that build time was when that fleet was, it was something like 90 something, nearly 100 days or something crazy just for a fleet of those. And yeah, they were great, weren't they? Not
well. It's almost 100 days for a mono fleet too.
Yeah, it is. Well, don't start. Or it could be. It depends on what you put on it, obviously.
Right.
But yeah. But then, you know, in some respects, and interestingly, because you said about the Harlock Citadel, and everyone went, "Oh my God, look at the build times on this compared to those that have built it now," are almost laughing all the way to the bank. Without going too deep on that, because I'm not trying to eat into Brian's piece in a second, that's actually been a very cost-effective hole to actually earn, build, and utilize, I think, because you really haven't had to, up till recently, and probably still won't have to if you drive carefully, put any armor in it whatsoever, unless you want to put a little bit of speed on it. And it's being utilized in the base, it's being utilized in campaigns, it's being utilized now, obviously, in a raid format. And it's a bit like the second go-to hole now for things. First one being the Punisher, you know, which has outlasted itself probably 5 times over than what we thought it probably would do.
Well, and the other thing too, and someone just mentioned it in chat, you know, tokens. You know, I couldn't, and this is something I do need to go back and take a look at, is, you know, when did we first start seeing the tokens, and we laughed because we called them jokens, but now, you know, we plan our builds down to the nanosecond to, and oh my gosh, if Kix release 1 extra prize, so we don't get one, you know, we get 1 less token. You know, so even with those times that we've got with the dropping times and the tokens, you know, it all adds up.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I have to say, you know, I plan my builds now around the amount of tokens I can get, so I can work it out, so I can do it within the cycle to get him into the next raid.
Yep.
I do it on purpose.
And the tokens, though, see, I don't know. I'm of two minds, because tokens are supposed to be like a bonus, not something that we should rely on.
The tokens are your dry dock, aren't they? We've said that several times. As far as I'm concerned, the tokens are your build dry dock. It's not that you're getting a second thing to build something else on. You're just getting a reduction in build time, which allows you to build stuff faster.
If tokens are a dry dock, then why? If tokens are a dry dock, then why can't we keep up with 2 docks trying to build 1 fleet?
Well, they're an aid, because the other aid is the offers that come out. Whether you like the offers, whether you're not, there are always twice a month, if not 3 times a month, build tokens, VXP tokens. The tokens are there. It's just designed for I didn't want it today because I couldn't afford it, so I'll go for the slightly cheaper version maybe next month, and that sort of stuff, you know. And then, like, I mean, I noticed that a pop-up in mine came the other day for a Citadel build token for 1 day. It was so cheap. If I'd never had a Citadel, I might have freaking took it and just built one for the sake of it, because it was almost giving it away. But, you know, look how long the Citadel's been out.
You'd be laughing if you took that. Ooh,
Yeah.
them Citadels.
It was ridiculously cheap, but the point is, and things are being thrown. I'm not saying thrown at you is not the right way of putting it, but things are offered to us in a different mechanic. It's just a different way of doing business.
Shoved directly into our faces as we open the game.
Yeah, it does.
Offer 11, 12 of 18.
Yeah, there is. But you know what? If the mechanic is working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It is a nice way to kind of funnel people into like really focusing on this is the hole you should pick. It's not a bad way of doing it.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, anyway, it's I don't know if it's an afterthought. I don't know if it's the right build model. That's because that's down to company metrics rather than shipbuilding metrics, I think. But the two must go hand in hand because enjoyability is the output. It's a freaking game at the end of the day. It's not my life. I just feel like it sometimes. But
get to that spreadsheet on that slide. Let me tell you how much I swore.
Right. Okay. Should we move on?
Brian's going on. Let's go.
Okay. Let's go to Brian's math. Here we go.
Hold on to your butt.
Right. I do appreciate there's quite a lot of small text on here, but I'm just showing you the picture.
Right.
You don't need to read the text. The idea is it's just so that because Brian's got his own Excel spreadsheet in front of him, so he can see it better. Okay.
So one of the problems is I didn't know this is actually going to be used as a slide, so I didn't actually make it look good and explain things.
No, but it's the quantity of math.
Would
That's what I was thinking. This is basically how in depth this man will go into proving a point. Okay, then. So that's all I'm going to show in the slide, and then I'm going to stop sharing now, and then we're just going to go on to normal chit chat. Okay.
I actually adjusted these when I put them.
Can I actually discuss it? I thought that was the point.
You can leave it up. I mean, you can leave it up. It's just that he didn't format some of the stuff. I mean, I did a lot of formatting when I saw that.
It's not formatted properly. I'd prefer if you can leave it up, or I can just talk about it. People can pause the video, or I
don't think they'll read it, to be honest, because when it comes out in the PDF, it'll be fine. So when I upload the slides,
they're not gonna. Yeah. So what I had done was, I was curious because I was looking at the monolith, and we'd done some math in an after show about judgment DPS versus OU DPS, the weapons, and the judgments was higher because at sufficiently high rank ships, you get a low reload time, but the salvo, it's 0.4 seconds longer on the OU because you have to fire 2 more shells and 0.02 for every salvo beyond the first. That's important, kids. So what I did was I took a look and I took some kind of standardish builds of Citadels, monoliths, and an Empyrean build. Thank you, Robin, for sending me some of the builds that I used, especially the last one. You see it as Comedy Monolith. The Comedy Monolith was 8 OUs, but 4 specials because you couldn't put anything else on it because it goes overweight. So don't take the Comedy Monolith. The numbers are good, but don't take it. What I found, I assumed everything was skulled. I assumed every fleet had their flagship. I assumed your R&D was at 30 for your critical hit chance. I assumed your siege mortars were at R15 for your splash on your Empyrean mortar, and some standard weapon hull special combinations, and a lot of math later. R5 Citadels perform the best in terms of just sheer DPS versus buildings. The best, not close. In second place technically is the Comedy Monolith, but you don't actually want to do that. It's bad. In third place is a monolith with 3 OUs and 5 judgments, because that's how you had to do it to get the weight right. In fourth place is R4 Citadels with judgments. Even if you got shafted and didn't get the R5 retrofit, you still have one of the best things out there. It's comparable to the monolith. It's going to be slower, but in terms of pure damage, you don't have to do much. In fifth place is a monolith with only judgments, which is actually very disheartening. This shows you that it's not even an additional special slot does not mean that the judgment would beat the Citadel. unless you threw in, I think, an explosive upgrade, and even then, that only barely beats it. No, that even had an explosive upgrade on that. Never mind.
It did, yeah.
In second to last place is the monolith that I'm building because apparently I'm an idiot. 6 OUs and a bunch of splash. And in last place are Empyreans, but, well, I don't think they should be in last place. So the main things that you can take away from this are the Harlack Citadel is completely and utterly busted. It is way too strong. And if you have it, build it. Shut up and build it. Why are you arguing? You should probably start building it. It's that good. It's 100% explosive damage. That is basically doubling. It's not exactly doubling, but it's mostly doubling your damage. And nothing else has that sort of power.
And I'm going to interrupt. Can I interrupt real quick for a second? I just want to point out that all these numbers are actually taking into consideration that you have the flagships.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you must have the flagship. You must be within the flagship's aura. That's important for the monolith.
Wait. That's even worse.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, the wording is even worse.
That's a separate rant. I want to get into that when I'm done. So the monolith, the 30% critical hit chance looks good, but it only provides a 30% increase in DPS. So it's not as strong as you might think. The Empyrean, with its buff of 40% explosive damage, probably is comparable, and it provides defensive buffs as well, which is very nice. What else is there? Yeah, Citadel's OP. Good luck driving monoliths. Their strength, I guess, is their
strength.
Damage on first salvo, but it's not even that. Oh, 30% increase? Well, 30% critical hit chance. Your damage double is increased by 30% of the time. But, oh, that's right. If you're out of the monolith field, if you're not in the gridiron's field behind you, that means if you are a mortal with mortal hands and mortal reflexes and mortal computing equipment, your monoliths are worse than R4 citadels. Let me say that again. If you're not in your field for the gridiron, your monoliths are worse than the citadels you have now. What the fuck?
Do you know what this kind of reminds me of?
What the actual living fuck is going on?
Do you know what this actually kind of reminds me of a little bit? And it's really funny just because it actually parallels because of the special, the Apollo. I mean, when that came out, it was kind of shit.
It had to be buffed.
Right?
It had to be buffed.
It had to be buffed, right? And it looked kind of shit. Now, looking at these numbers, I mean, really? And it has the same special type of thing, right? And there's an issue with that too. I mean, people are saying that there's an issue with the speed up. I mean, I'm just, what do you think the chances are they're going to do the same thing? I mean, the newest stuff is supposed to be the best stuff for the cycle, right? Is it not? Because I'm building these. I mean, I've already committed. I'm committed to the monolith. I have the blanks built. I'm refitting mine. I mean, I'm blowing my next month on these things. You know,
it's not even the second best. Like, you have to get behind R4 citadels to get to where a monolith is like viable.
I'm curious because like the newest stuff is supposed to be the best for the cycle, right? And we haven't hit it with the icebreaker. I mean,
let's not. Come on,
you know.
This is the Tuesday show, not the weekend show.
No, that's fine. But I'm saying the next thing is the monolith. The monolith is supposed to be the top hull, the special hull for this raid set. I can't see them. Like, man, people are gonna freak if these things work worse than R15 citadels.
The only saving grace I've got, hang on a minute, look, guys. There's only saving grace. Citadels, okay, then yes, they're powerful, but by God, they're slow. Okay,
they are slow as hell.
So
yes.
The only thing I can turn around and say is, and the Imperiums are good and fast, is so some of these targets you need to cut around them quite quick, and by cutting around and getting to the next piece of the target quicker, actually you may kill the target faster. Although your flat
I was literally just
DPS
about to say that
is going to be less. So don't think it's all just about how much.
I mean, it's not just about how much damage you're doing. It's about how fast you can move to your next target.
Yeah.
And how much less damage you're going to take in return from being able to move quicker.
And that's where the skill bit's going to come in, because you need to be able to drive these things around these mines, that sort of stuff, and obviously then line up this flag to go with these monos so that the wake is overloading the trailing ships, which shouldn't trail by the way by more than probably about half a ship length, if anything. So the wake is easy to control, and then you got a chance. And yes, you have got a little bit less firepower, but you've got there probably about 20 seconds quicker in some parts of these targets. And bear in mind, we haven't seen all the big targets yet. So don't write off the big stuff. It's just that when the Citadels do get there, by God, they can pack a punch.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't have the Harlock Citadel built, and I was able to do the campaign and, of course, get the tokens, for the monolith. So they were a quick and easy build, and so, I'm tossing up. Do I want to go back and start the Harlocks or just run with the monos? But it was interesting numbers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and that is a really important point about time to kill, the total target, and how good of a driver do you think you are. If you like driving quick ships, I would definitely recommend the Empyrean as well. It's a lot easier to get that synced up, and there's no acceleration, there's no variable speed, there's no keeping the Empyrean in this ring that is graphically offset, that we can't trust the actual in-game display to show us where the ring is, which was my other rant. So good on you, Kix, for that. It just the numbers frightened me, and the numbers shocked me, and I don't know if I want to keep building the best tech anymore. And I can't really recommend it. There's a small subset of people that will use monoliths to great effect, and congratulations. But as a whole, I would rank them 3rd out of 3. If you want to drive something fast, I would take the Empyrean because it's a lot easier. If you want to drive something powerful, the Citadels are the most powerful, and it's not close. And the monolith is only for very, very, very talented drivers.
Well, and the other thing, at the time, the Citadel came out in, I think it was February of 2016. That thing's over a year old.
Still going strong.
Maturing like a good quality wine.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Why are you moaning? Do you want them to buff the targets? Like, shut up.
No, I'm saying that it's just, we've got a ship that's a year and 2 months old that's outperforming something that's 2 weeks old.
If they buff the targets, no one can blame my ass this time. Everyone can blame Robin.
No, Brian.
Brian. You blame me.
No, it shouldn't be about buffing the target. It should be about buffing the ship.
It should be, buffing the weapon and buffing the ship.
That would be interesting. I mean, now that we started talking about it, I'm kind of curious if that's possible. I mean,
I don't know.
It's been out for how long now?
I don't know. Everybody's halfway through their builds already. So there we go. Once you committed yourself, you can't go back, because otherwise you cannot catch up in this game. It's not possible.
I got my blanks already. I mean, I'm committed. I'm sticking to them. I just this is a little disheartening.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
we're done, guys. We're finished. That's it. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. Okay, and thanks in chat, everybody. Thanks, Ford, for doing a bit of monitoring there. Did Nines ever get back in, by the way? He got timed out that many times, bless him. Okay, pro old 9 Nines. He does take it a good pinch of salt, though. Good bit of math there, Brian. Thanks very much.
thank you.
Rue, thanks very much. Ship metrics, that will all be in, obviously. That will come out in an article anyway, no problem at all. And Stu, good to have you on.
For my one line of
thanks for your one-liner, mate. And as ever, thanks for George just for chatting, because he just likes to chat.
Yeah, he never shuts up.
Thanks all. Hopefully we'll speak to those that wish to come on the open mic at the weekend, and have a good week in BP. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody.